views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Save the Second or their employers. This show offers commentary on the latest news associated with the NRA and Save the Second's endeavor to promote a strong, relevant, effective, and accountable NRA. Save the Second is a pro-Second Amendment organization. Through good or bad, we're here to help drive and save the NRA from itself and the Second from the infighting that happens among the Second Amendment supporters. Because without the Second, the rest will fall.
Wow, that was an introduction, huh? How about that? Yeah, fun stuff. Everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the Save the Second podcast. Today is Sunday, October 27th, 2019. In this episode, we will discuss the 76 and 76 Round 2 term limit bylaw amendment petitions and NRA Director in New York State Pistol and Rifle Association President Tom King. Appears to be solo currently. Have more on that in just a second. As you all well know, Save the Second is here to see the National Rifle Association reformed. Corruption, malfeasance, improprieties, and the self-serving policies, poor structure and leadership, they all have no place in our NRA. We want to see the NRA members take back their NRA by confronting the instances that these have occurred and demanding integrity and accountability and change. Largely, NRA members are oblivious to the internal destruction that is ongoing in the NRA. You won't find any of the NRA leadership take responsibility, and that has led to several directors resigning. With only 6% of voting eligible NRA members having voted in the last director election, it is obvious that in order for us to succeed, we need to educate the members and get them involved. The current NRA leadership will never be accountable by continuing to be unaccountable. We need your help. This podcast is one of the methods that we can use to get the word out. Please like this on Facebook and YouTube, and share it with all your Second Amendment loving friends and family. That truly helps. It really does. And thank you very much for watching. Something else to consider. We generally don't go into the Second Amendment, right? I mean, Save the Second. And yet on this podcast series, we haven't even had the Second Amendment up. You know what? Second Amendment's really ridiculously important. The Second Amendment, which was ratified December 15th, 1791, states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay? Any questions on that? I sure hope not, because it is the shortest worded amendment in the Bill of Rights. It's painfully obvious, shall not be infringed. Yeah. Now, of course, the attack on the Second Amendment is nearing a fever pitch. It isn't only on the federal level, which we all commonly focus on. It is also at the state level. Ask any of your Second Amendment loving friends in California how it's going for them right now. See, we need the NRA to be at its best, and I am certain that that will not happen without you. You must be involved. It's not what the Second Amendment can do for you. It is what you can do for your Second Amendment. Similarly, it is not what the NRA can do for you. It is what you can do for your NRA. My name is Ron Carter. For those of you that don't know, I'm a firearms instructor, competition shooter, amateur hobbyist gunsmith, and well, I just love firearms. I've got I'm surrounded by firearms here in my man cave. So if you're watching, you just look around, man. I love firearms. I really do. And we're all volunteers here at Save the Second. Anthony Garcia, who is our Save the Second president, he's currently indisposed at the moment. Sorry, he won't be joining us. Rob Pincus, also with Save the Second, of course, he is on a hunt right now doing some whitetail archery hunting. I know that he's already used one of his tags, filled one of his tags. Hopefully he'll be able to fill more of them. Andy Lander is a busy guy as well. Now, I'm busy, of course. I've got another job, but now we've all been productive with Save the Second this past week. I was particularly productive in the 76 and 76 round 2. So what is the 76 and 76? Well, there are 76 board of directors, or at least there are 76 seats for the board of directors. There's supposed to be 76 directors according to the NRA bylaws, of which I have a copy right here. So 76, right? Currently, there are a few vacancies due to the resignations that have occurred this year. Still, the board of directors serves, well, first of all, to oversee the future of the NRA. And they are elected by the members, the voting eligible members of the NRA. So they serve something as like elected representation. It is well within your right as an NRA member to have your voice heard in your organization. And by contacting the NRA board of directors, that's one of the ways to get it done. So the 76 and 76 is a project, a campaign that is used to try to contact or encourage you to contact all of your directors in the 76 days leading up to the next NRA board of directors meeting. Now, the next meeting, of course, is going to be January 11th. Okay. It's, well, we're just a little under 76 days before that now. We've had now 2 days of the 76 and 76 campaign. And I'll bring that up for you real fast. You see, on our website, savethe2a.org, we have listed all of the directors in their contact information and just the information that we were able to obtain about them. If you, let's see, I'll do this. Yeah, this is better. So if you go to our website, the homepage, you'll see first and foremost is here, let me spread this out for you so it looks better. Yay. You'll see first and foremost on our homepage that we have the latest actions. The term limits amendment petition is now available. Hey guys, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, but let's talk about first the board of directors. If you go to reforming the NRA, take action, contacting your NRA board of directors. This is the information that we have been able to compile on our directors. Today's director is Alan West. And of course, you can see different methodologies for trying to contact him. Really, the most surefire way to contact your directors isn't by sending them a Facebook message, a tweet, or an email. It's actually by sending snail mail to the NRA Office of the Secretary, who then forwards that letter to the board member that you have selected. Now, the problem is, of course, with 76 directors, that's a lot of envelopes. That's a lot of stamps. That's a lot of time. So it's so much more convenient for us to send out a quick Facebook message, email, Twitter, and so on, right? And that's why we have compiled so much information on the board of directors so that you have the tools available to actually contact your directors. In years past, there were several attempts to make a form where you could send all of the directors an email, and it would go, instead of to their personal emails, it would go to their NRA HQ email. Who knows how many board of directors actually use that email address? In most cases, it seemed that those form letters that were sent would automatically go to their spam. And so it's very convenient for directors just to have said, well, I never got that email. Sorry. this methodology of trying to contact those directors in the emails, the personal emails that they use, in the Facebook pages and Twitters and so on, it's a little more reliable to have your voice heard in your NRA. So 76 and 76, it's going to be a big deal for you guys to get involved and to write those emails. We also have a methodology for us to send what we would perhaps propose you send, right? I mean, where do you start, right? If you're going to send Colonel West an email, where do you start, right? Well, never fear. We've got that covered as well on our website. We have a blog, of course. I'll bring that up for you real fast. On the blog, let's go to blog real fast. You can scroll down. It's in here. Aha. 76 and 76. Look at that. Let your voice be heard. Well, this is actually our Facebook feed. Oh my goodness. That's terrible. No, we don't want to watch a live. Let's see about us. Oh my goodness. Here's our blog. Grassroots activism in our media. Go to blog 76 round 2. I have something of a template for you to use saying, "Dear Director, my NRA has been unaccountable to its members. It has wasted our member dues and donations and has been driven to the brink of disaster thanks to the failed leadership of the NRA executives and directors and their negligence, irresponsibility, or malfeasance in," and here's some points, 15 points. Now you can add or subtract, doesn't matter. If you don't want to use that, that's quite all right. I'm not going to be mad if you decide to pen your own letter. In fact, I would encourage that because it's your NRA. You be the voice, have your voice heard. If you don't know where to start, that blog article is an excellent place to start. Oh man, so we have several guys in the comments. I want to give a quick shout out to Jameson Nethery. Love Jameson so much. Neil's back with us, of course. Neil, we had you or put your comments on the show last week. Good to see you back. So, folks, if you have any questions, comments, concerns throughout it, I'll be monitoring that as well as going through the rest of our show. So, 76 and 76. Hey, if you don't have any questions, great. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? Contact your directors. Very important, especially in the days leading up before the next NRA Board of Directors meeting. Now, I mentioned just previously the term limit bylaw amendment petitions. Those are live. And we'll go back to our website real fast. Okay, so latest actions. Find it here. There you go. So we had a petition to amend the bylaws for director attendance. That's still ongoing. This is a new petition that focuses on term limits. And here's our proposition. No director shall be eligible to serve on the board of directors more than 12 years cumulatively, regardless of consecutive or non-consecutive service. Okay? Now, we talked about that just a little bit last week, and afterwards, we had something of a change of heart where, there was the ability, at least in what we had proposed previously, to have directors serve longer than 12 years, so long as it wasn't consecutive, so long as they took a break. And the more we thought about that, the more it seemed painfully obvious to us that the board of directors shouldn't have a terribly long tenure. Now, that said, we certainly want people to be involved in their NRA for longer than 12 years. And that's not what this is about. This is about the NRA board of directors trying to do their due diligence in overseeing the future of the NRA. Perhaps we could see the NRA board establish an honorary board so that persons who have served for an exceptional amount of time and done great things, they can continue to serve on an honorary board. We see so much cronyism currently in the NRA. If you've seen the NRA president's column that was published a couple of days ago, Carolyn Meadows just seems to be a broken record that only sings LaPierre's praises. That's not what the board of directors is designed for. That's not what any board of directors is designed to do. They're not cheerleaders. And that's actually what we're seeing right now. We're seeing cheerleaders. So, oh my goodness gracious. Yes, we want you, if you like this bylaw amendment proposal as written, no director shall be eligible to serve on the board of directors more than 12 years cumulatively, regardless of consecutive or non-consecutive service. Here's what you need to do. If you like this, download the term limit petition. We have all of this great information on, first of all, eligibility, who can vote. Okay, you have to be a voting eligible member of the NRA in order to sign this petition. And the petition's right down here. You can download it and get it squared away. Now, you'll have to send it to us snail mail, unfortunately. And our address is Save the Second, 838 Corona Street, Suite 505, Denver, Colorado, 80218. So after you send that, we're going to get them compiled all together. And we're going to do just like we did at this previous board meeting. We're going to submit to the board of directors, see what they have to say. Now, of course, with these bylaw amendment proposal petitions, the NRA board of directors doesn't have to listen to it. They can table it, they can throw it away, or they could actually enact it. They could enact that amendment into the NRA bylaws, which is what we hope. We're giving the board of directors another chance to be accountable, first with attendance and now with term limits, so that they can actually, so that the board of directors can actually do what they're supposed to do and oversee the future and not simply be cheerleaders, like I mentioned before. Now, should that not work, there are other avenues for us to pursue. For example, getting on the ballot, the ballot for the NRA director elections. We have a means that's through the bylaws to have these petitions or these proposals rather for NRA bylaw amendments to go straight to the members to be voted upon. Now, of course, the problem with that is the earliest that we could be on the ballot for voting is 2021. Now, granted, that's a long ways away, and you might just throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, that's too long. The NRA is not going to be fixed. It's just going to continue to be terrible and so on. Well, it may get worse before it gets better. One of the other things to consider is the members meeting. The members meeting, the annual meeting of the members, is held annually at the NRA annual meeting. That's a place where we can certainly have an impact. Yeah. You should go Google Frank Tate and see his proposal that happened last year on the floor of the members meeting. Folks, that's going to be one heck of a line in the sand. If you're able to show up to NRA annual meeting, and particularly the members meeting, that's definitely a place to be heard. Now, of course, you can be heard through the 76 and 76 by writing your directors. These petitions, sending them back to us, that's an excellent way to be heard, because we're throwing those petitions right at the board of directors and say, look at these guys. They signed this. They want this. These are your constituents. Hey, be involved, be involved, be involved. And thank you so much for your help in getting the word out. We absolutely have to have the word out. Thankfully, we just reached over 9,000 likes on our Facebook page, which is great. But there's like 5 million NRA members. Now, I think there's only 2.5 million NRA voting eligible members. But still, that 9,000 likes on Facebook is a drop in the bucket, which is why we need your help so very desperately. Thank you so much for that, for your help. Now, this past week, we broke a story that had been previously shared, and it had to do with NRA director and New York State Pistol and Rifle Association president Tom King. Who is Tom King? Well, in an interview that he had on AmmoLand earlier this year, I'll pull that up for you real fast so you can see it with your own eyes. Tom King, he's proud of himself. He's done quite a bit. He's had a very interesting career. Come on, AmmoLand. There we go. You'll see on this particular AmmoLand post that Tom as a senior board member, whatever that means. There's no senior or junior, actuality. There's no legitimate separation, but he calls himself a senior board member and executive committee member. Now, the executive committee has been what we've seen the vast majority of cheerleaders for Wayne LaPierre from. Yeah, he's done quite a bit. You can see that he formed and was appointed the chair of the Disabled Shooters Committee. That's huge. He's also serving as the chair of the competition shooting committees, 2 competition shooting committees, and then he serves on 3 additional committees. So let's add those up real fast. 2, 5, 6, right? So 6 committees that he is on, and he's chair of a couple others. I mean, that's great. Hey, serve on as many committees as you can possibly do. If you're an NRA board of director, there's 37 standing committees, and we definitely need good persons on that. But if you'll remember back, I think it was in June, there were 6 or 7 directors who had previously been vocal in opposition and calling for an independent audit and more. They were removed from all of their committee assignments. Yet Mr. King here has 6. Does that smell funny to you? It smells funny to me. Now, Tom King, I've got to tell you, and Tom King, if you're watching, which I hope you are, my first interaction with you was absolutely ridiculous. Let me see if I can pull that up real fast. It was February, or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't February. It was July 6th when Tom King came to our, what do you call it? Our I think at the time we still had the NRA Members for Accountability page, and we were cross-posting on Save the Second and NRA Members for Accountability. But I believe he came to our Save the Second page. Let me see if I can show you. Oh my goodness, it's not going to. Oh, it is going to be able to do it. Yes. So the very first interaction that we had with Mr. King was Mr. King saying that a particular article that we had, get out of the way, a particular article that we had published was by the Trace, and the Trace is owned by Bloomberg. Yeah, I get it. That's terrible. And we discussed that in the very first podcast that we did. We don't agree with the Trace's political opinion. We like the Second Amendment to be completely uninfringed. And the Trace has an objective to, by Bloomberg, who it's owned by, to essentially further gun control. I hate that. I don't like it. However, it is unfortunate that the Trace, during especially this time period, got a lot of their facts right about the NRA. So I responded to Mr. King. This is the very first time that I've had any interaction with Mr. Tom King. And I say to him, hey, it's terrible that we have received more facts from the Trace and other news agencies than the NRA. The last statement that President Meadows released with her past presidents was nothing short of a massive cover-up. Everything is not financially sound, as she said. Since then, we have seen 4 multi-million-dollar lawsuits, Chris Cox be fired, and NRA TV obliterated. Bloomberg couldn't have orchestrated these travesties in his wildest dreams. The failed NRA leadership is solely to blame, regardless of the Trace's motives. They haven't been so shady, and it makes me physically sick to my stomach. So, Tom, then, of course, he encourages me to rethink my position. So this is back in July. We're in October right now. My position is even more solid, especially later on. So I asked Mr. Tom King in this particular exchange if he thought the $274,000 that Wayne LaPierre spent from Ackerman on behalf of Ackerman McQueen for his wardrobe. I asked him, if it's good, why should I believe him that the finances are fine and dandy when we have seen, and I showed him the dang letter that had been leaked previously, and you can go find that online. It's everywhere. If you'd like me to send it to you, hey, it's public information at this point. So I asked him why I should believe him. So he says, yeah, I speak the truth. Oh, great. He speaks the truth. And so I show him the airfare. And so Tom King says, didn't I read that in the Bloomberg's rag, The Trace? And of course, I had to explain to him the Trace reported it, and so did the New York Times, so did the Daily Beast, so did the Oklahoman, so did Washington Post, so did Wall Street Journal, so did Newsweek, so did Fox News. Holy good Lord Almighty. It's just ridiculous. Now, if we go on and on, you'll see you'll see a lot in this particular exchange. And of course, if you wanted to go back and look at the whole exchange, it's ridiculous how Mr. King doesn't want to give any solid answers. Okay. He just wants to skirt around it and call it fake news. It's not fake news. We got how many lawsuits against Acton McQueen? A lawsuit against Oliver North, who, of course, we talked about in previous episodes, that Oliver North was the highest voted for candidate in the last election for directors. This is my first interaction with him. And guess what? Later on in this, if I keep scrolling down, the reason I'm scrolling down is because he threatened legal action against me because I was asking questions. Let me see if I can find it. It's just, I want you to see it. I want you to read it. I want you to hear it. This is a guy. Oh, and by the way, there's some interesting stuff on if you go to Google and you search for Tom King, there's some interesting things about Tom King's selling out New York State Rifle and Pistol Association members. It's just interesting. So here we go. Here is Tom King's essentially threat to me. It says, Ron Carter, yes, I will comment. Those are all unsubstantiated claims that were made in an anonymous letter and have been turned over by a lawyer who you will be hearing from on Monday. By the way, all of his claims were answered and proven false, but thanks for giving me a new battle to fight. I'm asking him questions, for crying out loud. And he threatens legal action against me. This is my NRA board of director. This is your NRA board of director. Okay? Unacceptable. Mr. Tom King, you're ridiculous. Now, the reason that we're talking about him is because there was an article posted, or an article that we found that had been posted back in September. Now, let's see if I can pick that up real fast. It was from Newsday on September 19th. I'll pull that up for you real fast. In this particular article, Tom King was quoted. Okay, that's not crazy, right? He can be quoted, and I'm very interested to hear what he has to say because he is a director, NRA board of director. So let's go and find that real fast, and I'll screen share it real fast for you. Here we go. The head of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, that's Tom King, said the sale of ghost guns is a growing problem. Quote, these 80% guns are providing a way for prohibited people to buy a firearm. All right, let me stop you right there, Mr. King. Guess what? These 80% guns aren't guns. They're not firearms. Okay, they're blanks. They're castings that the ATF has determined are not readily able to shoot a projectile. Now, there's some interesting things on that, but guess what? You've got your terminology wrong first and foremost. Okay, 80% is also a misnomer because there's no percentage that magically makes a hunk of aluminum or a hunk of polymer a firearm. Okay, that's more of a marketing term. 80%. Okay, so you're kind of jacked up on two things. All right, you're a jackwagon on a firearm and a jackwagon on 80%. But you're going to continue. Okay, he said, referring to people who don't have a gun permit or are otherwise prohibited from possessing a gun. It gets me worked up reading this. He said self-assembled guns provide a way for competitive shooters to make a custom-fitted firearm. Such weapons should have serial numbers and be registered, and any new legislation should consider such a provision, he said. But it appears increasingly, King said, people trying to evade the law are the ones buying and selling self-assembled weapons. Holy, what the Tom? No. I've got a ton of friends who have loads of polymer 80 handguns. I have a load of them that have grabbed a cast and tried to make their own ARs. This is a stripped lower receiver, and guess what? By the ATF's definition, if this had no millings or markings, if it was completely solid, it wouldn't be a firearm in the first place. Okay, so guess what? If it's not a firearm, you don't need to pass a background check in order to purchase it. I don't have to fill out a 4473 when I go to Lowe's and I pick up some aluminum or a tube or something like that. Tom, you're a jackwagon, man. This is not cool. Okay, well, let's continue on. Okay. Quote, it appears what was meant to be something for competitive shooters and serious shooters to build their own unique firearm may be turning into a criminal enterprise. A criminal enterprise. A criminal enterprise. So the Second Amendment is a criminal enterprise, right? Is that what he's saying? Well, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Let's go look at it real fast. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What part of that do you not understand, Tom King? Really? So the Second Amendment is only for competitive shooters now? So the Second Amendment is only for serious shooters, and I can't build my own firearm? Is that it? Maybe the competitive shooters are only the Olympic shooters. They're the only competition, right? They're Olympians, right? So they're the only ones that get to build their own firearms or modify. Holy God Almighty! If I modified my freaking Glock, am I now subject to Tom King's disdain for being a criminal enterprise? Criminal freaking enterprise. That's what he's saying. Unbelievable. So we called him out. We wrote a blog on our website, called him out, and we shared it online, called him out. It's unacceptable. So what does he do? He gets called out. He finds that he's his hand is in the cookie jar. Let me find this for you real fast. Oh, it just burns me up so much. My blood pressure's through the roof. Shall not be infringed, Tom King. Oh, okay. Let's go to his rebuttal, which was published on AmmoLand. Okay. The article is wrong. To be clear, I do not support the banning of 80% lowers or any other firearm. Never have, never will. Tom, that's in complete contradiction to what you said right here. Okay? Let me go to it again. 80% are providing a way for prohibited people to buy a firearm. Prohibited people. Do you know what a prohibited person is? Okay. Prohibited persons, cannot own firearms legally. But guess what? If they do, they're a criminal. So are you going to go tell the criminals that they're criminals? Oh my gosh, dude. It's like he doesn't understand what criminals do. By definition, you have to break the law in order to be a criminal, Tom King. Am I a criminal? No, I'm following the law. Absolutely. And you're trying to change the law so that if I made my own firearm, I would have to then go get it serialized. Folks, do you know what it takes to get it serialized? In some states, by the way, you can't even build your own firearm. It is federally fine for you to build and own your own firearm. In some states, that is prohibited. Okay, so there is a little bit of state stuff going on there. But let's say, of course, I live in the state of Colorado, and I can have my own ghost gun. Ooh, scary. Yeah, that's a made up term too. Google Kevin De Leon. My blood pressure is getting up there. No, So in the state of Colorado, let's say that I made my own Polymer 80 handgun, the Glock copies, which I love. I've got several friends that have made them. I'm tempted to myself. It's going to be a project. It's going to be fun. And by the way, if you're ever building your own firearm, it's not like you can just get the parts in the mail and then the very next day go out shooting. No, you've got to do some serious work, and you got to do it correctly. If you don't do it correctly, it's a paperweight, a firearm paperweight, if you want to call it that. But so it is a hobby, and hey, the Second Amendment spells it out: shall not be infringed. I can make my own firearm just fine and dandy without your help, Tom, or without your oversight that you're asking for. Oh, but let's say that I have a Polymer 80 or an 80% lower that I've fashioned into a lower receiver for an AR-15. And let's say that Colorado then bans those. If they ban them overnight without any preemptive clause, well, then I'm overnight a criminal. You're just making criminals out of law-abiding citizens. Or let's say that they have some sort of provision for a grandfather clause or something of that nature, but I have to have it serialized as a certain date. Do you know what it takes to be serialized? There's a whole code of regulations on the depth that the serialization has to be and where at on the firearm. Do I have the tools to do that? No. It's going to cost me money. Great. And then, of course, I'm registering it. I thought registrations, for firearms, for Title I firearms, were against the Constitution. Unconstitutional. Now, granted, we have the National Firearms Act, which is a registered system for suppressors, short-barreled shotguns. I said suppressors. Legally, it's silencers, of course. Short-barreled shotguns, short-barreled rifles, machine guns, and so on. That's the NFA, right? National Firearms Act. And you do have to register those if you own any of those. But regular firearms like this, no. And they're this is Tom King sounding more like a Moms Demand Action person than an NRA board of director. Truly. Now, let's look at Tom King's, as my show notes, you'll love that, right? Let's look at Tom King's New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. They're going to the Supreme Court. Okay. And that's a good thing. New York State Pistol and Rifle Association isn't a bad entity. I don't want you to get that. And neither, I think, is the NRA. NRA needs some massive reform, but they're not altogether terrible or evil, right? The New York State Pistol and Rifle Association is going to be heard in the Supreme Court. I believe the opening arguments is going to be December 2nd. I believe that is. And I'm glad of that. Now, in order to get to the Supreme Court, you know what has to happen? You have to lose. You have to lose repeatedly at the lower levels. So I'm a little worried, at least in this case, that they've wasted a lot of money to get to the Supreme Court. Now, granted, if the judges on SCOTUS are able to strike down the law that New York has in transporting firearms, that's what this is all about. Go Google it. If the Supreme Court does side on the side of New York State Pistol and Rifle Association, that sets an awesome precedent, and I would be very happy to see that. On the other hand, it takes a lot of losing to get to the Supreme Court, and you never have the guarantee that the Supreme Court is going to hear your case. There was a case back over the summer where the Supreme Court was going to hear a case about suppressors from a guy in Kansas, I believe it was. And right after one of the mass murders, President Trump asked the Supreme Court to not hear the case. Could that be, in this case, do we have another tragedy? And all of a sudden, all the work that's been done to get this lawsuit to the Supreme Court, it gets thrown out. They don't hear it. Could be. Absolutely could be. I don't think that the New York State Pistol and Rifle Association is bad. With Tom King in it, especially on my personal opinion, I really question it. Now you can Google. There's some other another hullabaloo on some of the potential corruption and malfeasance within the New York State Pistol and Rifle Association, which of course Tom King is the president of. So I want you to go and check that out. That's some Interesting stuff. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that's Tom King, man. Tom King was reelected this past year, and out of the, what was it, 30 candidates, or just slightly under 30 candidates, he was number 26th in the rankings for voting. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of people have a lot of knowledge about him, and I want you to be knowledgeable about one of your directors who doesn't think you should own, a firearm that isn't registered, contrary to what he said. Now, maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt, especially in this article. And that's one of the things that he kind of quips at. Yeah. It's frustrating. This is back and forth. And by the way, there's also, this isn't the only time that Tom King has said something questionable about 80%. There is, let's see if I can find it real fast. In 2018, Tom King was on a radio show, and this is thanks to AR15.com, ARFCOM, right? And this is an archive thread, one that we found. In 2018, Tom King was on Talk 1300, a radio show. The gun guys, Brian Olson, on this one. I tried to find this particular show so that I could listen to it and hear what he had to say, but guess what? Oops, that page can't be found. So that's gone. But apparently, quote, Tom and I have been opposed to 80% lowers from the get-go. It's actually absolutely what this says. Now, I can't verify that. I can't hear it, but of course we can see in this article where Tom King is quoted that he didn't think that people should be able to do this. Only competitive shooters and serious shooters should to build their own unique firearm. Criminal enterprise. By the way, criminal enterprise, that one's going to get me riled up again. Criminal enterprise. Do you know how many crimes are committed with quote unquote ghost guns? It's a statistical anomaly. Do a Google search on it. There's one recent one where a guy was arrested in Fresno for possessing one, and that's a different story. In California, you can't have them. So he was arrested for just merely possession of a ghost gun. Ooh. But apparently there's been like maybe one or two crimes that have happened with these guns. And guess what? It doesn't make that firearm any more or less lethal. It doesn't. Having a serial number. Here, I'll show you a serial number since, well, how about this one? Serial number, empty and clear Glock 34, right? Serial number right on the bottom. Does that serial number right there, does that make this handgun any more or less lethal? No. The only thing that it really does is allows after action, if it's used in a crime, for the ATF Trace Center to go through and see the paper trail, where it was from. It's not a preventative measure. It's not going to save lives. You think it's going to save lives? You're stupid. A number on a handgun does nothing to save anyone. That's just, it's stupid. And it, of course, it really sounds like Tom King is just quoting out of the Moms Demand Action handbook. Ghost guns. Holy crap, guys. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. I'm done. Tom King, I think you're just a terrible person. I really do. Especially for me as a concerned member trying to talk to you and ask questions, and you threaten me with legal action. Unacceptable. And it shows exactly why Save the Second being founded was necessary, because guess what? If any of our followers ask the same questions, would you be threatening legal action against them? Unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. The NRA cannot be accountable by being unaccountable. Holy smokes. Yeah. Yep. Let's move on. Let's move on to some fun news. How about that? Fun news. We are less than a week away. We are 6 days away from the 2A rally on the Capitol grounds, November 2nd. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see in person Eric from Iraq Veteran 8888. I'm excited to see Hickok 45. He's going to be there. yeah, I've wanted to shake his hand for a long time. I got to shake his son's hand, John Hickok. Actually, I got to shake his hand while he was doing stand-up comedy in Nashville. That was really cool. So I can't wait to shake, Hickok's hand. Tim from Military Arms Channel. Holy smokes. I can't wait to hang out with him. I hope that I'll be able to shake a lot of your hands. I hope that a lot of you guys are going to show up. Yeah, go to the Facebook page, 2A Rallies, 2A Rights Rally. Sorry, Facebook.com/2A Rights Rally. Go to that, check it out. If you haven't registered. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be there. Anthony Garcia is going to be there. Rob Pincus is going to be speaking there and be there, of course. So Rob Pincus is speaking. Anthony Garcia is speaking. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shake a lot of hands, and I'm going to ask you to sign those petitions for the term limits. See if we can get a lot of petitions signed from NRA voting eligible members who agree that we need to have a cap at 12 years for directors. Yeah. I'm excited, guys. Granted, we have a lot of hurdles, such as Tom King. Okay. And while I would consider Tom King to be exceptionally irresponsible in his failure to own his words, he didn't refute what he said. Okay. He didn't say, "Ooh, they got that wrong. I was, talking about that." He said, "No, I believe firearms shouldn't be banned." Back on Tom King, getting my blood pressure up. Oh my gosh. So, no, we have hurdles to fix the NRA. The old guard that is in the NRA that has the power, they're not going to relinquish that power without a fight. We've already seen that. We saw that at the NRA members meeting this past year in Indianapolis. You should go Google some of that. On Facebook, on YouTube, there's several videos from the members meeting, and it was hot. It was really hot. The old guard is not going to go away without a fight. They're living at large. They don't have to answer to anyone. Okay, they can do what they want. They have a lack of integrity. They have a lack of accountability, of course, and that allows them to get away with murder. Now, do we need the NRA? Absolutely. We absolutely need the NRA to be strong, relevant, effective, and accountable. And we need them to fight for our rights like none other, because guess what? Our rights are truly in jeopardy. Now, the NRA leadership has also put the NRA in a position to where the entire NRA is in jeopardy of closing. No kidding, man. We've been watching for news to come out of the New York Attorney General office and their investigation into the NRA. It's been quiet. It's been ridiculously quiet, man. They've got operational security locked down. So I anticipate that they're going to come out with something here probably before the new year. And it may be the closure of the NRA as we know it. At very least, it could be the loss of the non-tax or the tax exempt status of the NRA, which would just make the NRA impotent. All the while, we got Tom King over here not knowing what the Second Amendment is. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And folks, if you want to learn more about 80% firearms and the laws associated with that, Trigger Words with Ryan Kleckner is an excellent way to go and check that out. He's a firearms attorney. He actually gets the terms right. I probably just murdered the terms and so on, but he goes into the legalese of it. An exceptional podcast. Go check that out. Go build your own firearm. Go exercise your Second Amendment rights. Oh my goodness gracious. To state the facts frankly is not to despair the future nor indict the past. The prudent heir takes a careful inventory of his legacies and gives a faithful accounting to those who he owes an obligation of trust. That's coming from John F. Kennedy. I don't think Tom King's a prudent heir. No, I don't. Thank you very much for listening. You can follow Save the Second on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Our podcast can be found on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. Of course, our website, savethe2a.org, is where you can find more information about the petitions, 76 and 76, and more. A special thanks to Nick Dooley. Nick Dooley deserves a lot of credit for that voiceover introduction. It's worth listening. Just go back to the beginning and listen to it again. He's amazing. He's also the owner operator of Dooley Defense in Pierre, South Dakota. Hey, go give him a like on Facebook and Instagram. Nick Dooley, Dooley Defense. Go like it, if nothing else, other than to listen to his amazing voice. His voice is awesome, and I love that guy to death. All of us at Save the Second are volunteers, and a special thanks to those of you who believe in us and have donated to Save the Second. Your donations are making the term limit bylaw petition proposals a thing. If it wasn't for that, it would be almost impossible for any sort of petition to really go through. Thank you so much for your donations. It's amazing of you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And from all of us here at Save the Second, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And go contact your NRA Board of Directors. We'll see you next week. Hopefully see you at the 2A rally. Take care.